Who is Nelson Mandela? Nelson Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, political leader, and philanthropist who served as the first democratically elected president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. He began his political career in the 1940s as a member of the African National Congress, ANC, a political party that sought to end apartheid, the system of racial segregation and discrimination in South Africa. Mandela became a leading figure in the anti-apartheid movement, and his activism led to his arrest and imprisonment for 27 years. During his time in prison, Mandela became a symbol of resistance against apartheid, and his release in 1990 was a major turning point in South African history. Mandela went on to lead negotiations with the South African government to end apartheid and establish a multiracial democracy. Mandela's leadership and advocacy efforts helped to end apartheid and establish a new democratic government in South Africa, and his legacy has had a significant impact on the country and the world. Mandela was known for his philosophy of reconciliation, and he sought to promote social justice and equality through peaceful means. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 for his efforts to end apartheid and promote human rights. Mandela passed away on December 5, 2013, at the age of 95. He is remembered as one of the most important and influential leaders of the 20th century, and his legacy continues to inspire people around the world to fight for social justice and equality. Some text goes here. Who was Nelson Mandela and what was his role in the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary and political leader who played a crucial role in the fight against apartheid in South Africa. He joined the African National Congress, ANC, in 1944 and became one of the organization's leading figures in the struggle for equality and freedom. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Mandela played a key role in organizing protests and civil disobedience against the apartheid regime, which enforced strict racial segregation and discrimination against black South Africans. Mandela and other anti-apartheid activists were repeatedly arrested and imprisoned, and the government banned the ANC in 1960. In 1964, Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment for conspiring to overthrow the government. He spent 27 years in prison, during which time he became a symbol of resistance against apartheid and a source of inspiration for the anti-apartheid movement. In the 1980s, international pressure on South Africa to end apartheid increased, and Mandela's imprisonment became a rallying cry for activists around the world. Finally, in 1990, President F. W. de Klerk released Mandela from prison, and the ANC was unbanned. Mandela went on to play a key role in negotiations with the South African government to end apartheid and establish a multiracial democracy. In 1994, he was elected as the first black president of South Africa, serving in that role until 1999. Mandela's leadership and activism were instrumental in ending apartheid and establishing a democratic government in South Africa. His commitment to nonviolent resistance and his philosophy of reconciliation and forgiveness have had a profound impact on the country and the world, and he is remembered as one of the most important and inspiring leaders of the 20th century. Some text goes here. What were some of the key challenges that Mandela faced during his presidency of South Africa, and how did he navigate them? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela faced a number of significant challenges during his presidency of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. Here are some of the key challenges he faced and how he navigated them. 1. Reconciliation. One of Mandela's top priorities as president was to promote reconciliation between different racial and ethnic groups in South Africa. This was a difficult task given the deep-seated divisions and tensions that had developed during the apartheid era. Mandela used his personal charisma and moral authority to promote reconciliation and forgiveness, and he established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to help address the injustices of the past. 2. Economic inequality. South Africa was and continues to be one of the most unequal countries in the world, with significant disparities in income, education, and healthcare between different racial and ethnic groups. Mandela recognized that addressing economic inequality was critical to building a more just and prosperous South Africa. He pursued policies aimed at promoting economic growth, job creation, and social welfare, including the Reconstruction and Development Program. 3. Corruption. Corruption was a significant challenge during Mandela's presidency, particularly within the ANC itself. Mandela recognized the danger that corruption posed to the country's democracy and worked to establish anti-corruption measures, including a new constitution and an independent judiciary. 4. Crime and violence. South Africa experienced high levels of crime and violence during Mandela's presidency, particularly in urban areas. Mandela recognized that addressing crime and violence was critical to building a stable and secure society. He pursued policies aimed at strengthening the police force and promoting community policing, as well as initiatives aimed at addressing poverty and social exclusion. 5. International relations. Mandela also faced significant challenges in managing South Africa's relations with other countries, particularly in Africa. He worked to build partnerships with other countries in the region and to establish South Africa as a leader in promoting democracy and human rights on the continent. Mandela navigated these challenges with skill and determination, working to build a more just, peaceful, and prosperous South Africa. His leadership and commitment to reconciliation continue to inspire people around the world today. How did Mandela's leadership style and philosophy of reconciliation shape South Africa's transition to democracy? Nelson Mandela's leadership style and philosophy of reconciliation were instrumental in shaping South Africa's transition to democracy. Here are some of the ways in which his leadership and philosophy influenced the transition. 1. Inclusivity. Mandela recognized the importance of inclusivity in the transition to democracy. He worked to bring together diverse groups with differing opinions and backgrounds to work towards a common goal. This approach helped to build consensus and promote a sense of shared responsibility and ownership in the transition process. 2. Negotiation. Mandela was a skilled negotiator who understood the importance of compromise and dialogue in achieving political goals. He led the negotiations with the South African government that eventually led to the dismantling of apartheid and the establishment of a democratic government. 3. Reconciliation. Mandela's philosophy of reconciliation was based on forgiveness and understanding rather than retribution and punishment. He believed that reconciliation was essential to building a new and united South Africa. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to address the injustices of the past and promote healing and forgiveness. 4. Moral authority. Mandela's personal moral authority was a key factor in shaping the transition to democracy. He was widely respected and admired for his integrity, compassion, and courage. His leadership helped to create a sense of trust and confidence among the South African people, which was critical to the success of the transition. 5. Vision. Mandela's leadership was grounded in a powerful vision of a just and equal South Africa. He inspired people with his commitment to democracy, human rights, and social justice. His leadership helped to create a sense of hope and possibility, which was essential to overcoming the challenges of the transition. Overall, Mandela's leadership style and philosophy of reconciliation were critical in shaping South Africa's transition to democracy. His commitment to inclusivity, negotiation, reconciliation, moral authority, and vision helped to build a more just and equal South Africa, and his legacy continues to inspire people around the world today. Some text goes here. What was the significance of Mandela's imprisonment on Robben Island, and how did it shape his political views and approach to leadership? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela's imprisonment on Robben Island was a significant event in his life and had a profound impact on his political views and approach to leadership. Here are some of the key ways in which his imprisonment shaped his political views and approach to leadership. 1. Endurance. Mandela spent 27 years in prison, including 18 years on Robben Island. This experience taught him the value of endurance and perseverance in the face of adversity. He believed that the struggle against apartheid was a long-term struggle, and that it required a deep commitment to the cause and the willingness to endure hardship and sacrifice. 2. Resilience. Mandela's imprisonment also taught him the value of resilience. He refused to be broken by his imprisonment and maintained his dignity and sense of self throughout his time in prison. This resilience helped to inspire others and contributed to his reputation as a moral leader. 3. Education. While on Robben Island, Mandela and other political prisoners were denied formal education. However, they established a system of informal education, with prisoners teaching each other. Mandela believed that education was a critical tool for empowerment and liberation, and this experience reinforced this belief. 4. Reflection. Mandela's time on Robben Island also gave him the opportunity to reflect on his political views and approach to leadership. He used this time to deepen his understanding of political philosophy and to develop a more strategic and nuanced approach to politics. 5. Unity. Mandela and his fellow political prisoners on Robben Island were from different political backgrounds and held different views. However, they came together to fight against apartheid and developed a strong sense of unity and common purpose. This experience reinforced Mandela's belief in the importance of unity and collaboration in the struggle for justice and equality. Overall, Mandela's imprisonment on Robben Island was a defining experience in his life and had a significant impact on his political views and approach to leadership. The lessons he learned during this time, including the value of endurance, resilience, education, reflection, and unity, would shape his leadership style and political philosophy for the rest of his life. Some text goes here. How did Mandela's personal life, including his relationships and family history, shape his political beliefs and leadership style? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela's personal life, including his relationships and family history, had a significant impact on his political beliefs and leadership style. Here are some of the key ways in which his personal life influenced his politics. 1. Family history. Mandela's family history was marked by the injustices of apartheid. He grew up in a society where racial discrimination and segregation were the norm, and he saw firsthand the impact of these injustices on his family and community. This experience helped to shape his political beliefs and fueled his commitment to fighting against apartheid and promoting justice and equality. 2. Relationships. Mandela's relationships with his family, friends, and political allies were also influential in shaping his politics. He was deeply influenced by his first wife, Evelyn Mace, who was a nurse and social worker, and who introduced him to the ideas of black consciousness and liberation. His relationships with other anti-apartheid activists, such as Oliver Tambo and Walter Sisulu, also helped to shape his political views and approach to leadership. 3. Personal values. Mandela's personal values, including his commitment to justice, equality, and reconciliation, were deeply ingrained and influenced his political beliefs and leadership style. He was a man of great integrity, and his personal values were reflected in his political actions and decisions. 4. Cultural heritage. Mandela was proud of his African cultural heritage and drew inspiration from it in his political life. He believed that African culture and traditions had much to offer the world and that they could help to inspire and guide the struggle for justice and equality. 5. Personal experiences. Finally, Mandela's personal experiences, including his time in prison, had a profound impact on his political beliefs and leadership style. He learned the value of endurance, resilience, and perseverance during his time in prison and developed a deeper understanding of the nature of power and oppression. Overall, Mandela's personal life played a significant role in shaping his political beliefs and leadership style. His 3. Holding perpetrators accountable. The TRC was not a criminal court, and it did not have the power to prosecute perpetrators. However, it did play a role in holding perpetrators accountable by providing a public record of their actions and by making recommendations for reparations and other forms of redress. 4. Educating the public. The TRC helped to educate the public about the nature and extent of human rights abuses during the apartheid era. Its findings and recommendations were widely disseminated, and it helped to promote a culture of human rights and accountability in South Africa. 5. Inspiring other countries. The TRC had a significant impact on the global conversation around transitional justice. It inspired other countries to adopt similar mechanisms for addressing past human rights abuses, and it helped to promote a broader understanding of the importance of truth-telling, accountability, and reconciliation in the aftermath of conflict or repression. Overall, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission had a significant impact on South Africa's efforts to confront its past and promote reconciliation. It helped to promote truth-telling, foster reconciliation, hold perpetrators accountable, educate the public, and inspire other countries. Its legacy continues to be felt in South Africa and around the world today. Some text goes here. How did Mandela's leadership impact the broader struggle for human rights and social justice, both in South Africa and around the world? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela's leadership had a significant impact on the broader struggle for human rights and social justice, both in South Africa and around the world. Here are some of the ways in which his leadership influenced this struggle. 1. Inspiration. Mandela's leadership and personal example inspired people around the world to fight for justice, freedom, and human rights. He became a symbol of the struggle against apartheid and of the broader struggle for social justice, and his leadership helped to inspire a generation of activists and leaders. 2. International solidarity. Mandela's leadership helped to build international solidarity around the struggle against apartheid. He worked tirelessly to build alliances with other countries and to promote the cause of freedom and justice on the global stage. His leadership helped to build a broad coalition of support for the anti-apartheid movement, which ultimately contributed to the downfall of apartheid. 3. Leadership style. Mandela's leadership style was characterized by a commitment to collaboration, dialogue, and reconciliation. He believed in the importance of building bridges between different communities and in the power of dialogue to overcome division and conflict. His leadership style helped to promote a culture of peace, cooperation, and respect for human rights. 4. Legacy. Mandela's legacy continues to inspire people around the world to fight for human rights and social justice. His example demonstrates the power of leadership, courage, and perseverance in the face of oppression and injustice. He remains a symbol of hope and inspiration for people who are struggling against injustice and for a more just and equitable world. Overall, Nelson Mandela's leadership had a profound impact on the broader struggle for human rights and social justice. He inspired people around the world, built international solidarity, promoted a culture of peace and cooperation, and left a lasting legacy of hope and inspiration. Some text goes here. What was the significance of Mandela's Nobel Peace Prize, and how did it shape his legacy? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela's Nobel Peace Prize was a significant milestone in his life and career, and it had a profound impact on his legacy. Here are some of the ways in which the Nobel Peace Prize shaped Mandela's legacy. 1. Recognition. The Nobel Peace Prize was a powerful recognition of Mandela's leadership and his contributions to the struggle against apartheid. It brought international attention to his work and helped to raise awareness of the human rights abuses that were taking place in South Africa. 2. Legitimacy. The Nobel Peace Prize helped to legitimize Mandela's leadership and the anti-apartheid movement more broadly. It provided a powerful endorsement of the movement's goals and methods and helped to build support for the movement both within South Africa and around the world. 3. Inspiration. The Nobel Peace Prize inspired people around the world to fight for justice and human rights. It demonstrated the power of leadership, courage, and perseverance in the face of oppression and injustice, and it inspired a generation of activists and leaders. 4. Legacy. The Nobel Peace Prize helped to cement Mandela's legacy as one of the most important and inspiring leaders of the 20th century. It ensured that his contributions to the struggle against apartheid would be remembered and celebrated for generations to come. Overall, the Nobel Peace Prize was a significant milestone in Mandela's life and career, and it had a profound impact on his legacy. It brought recognition, legitimacy, and inspiration to the anti-apartheid movement, and it helped to cement Mandela's place in history as one of the most important and inspiring leaders of the 20th century. Some text goes here. How has Mandela been remembered and commemorated in South Africa and around the world since his death in 2013? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela has been remembered and commemorated in various ways in South Africa and around the world since his death in 2013. Here are some examples. 1. Nelson Mandela International Day. Since 2009, July 18 has been recognized as Nelson Mandela International Day, a day to honor Mandela's legacy and promote community service and activism around the world. The day is marked by events and activities that promote social justice, human rights, and community development. 2. Statues and monuments. In South Africa, there are numerous statues and monuments dedicated to Nelson Mandela, including a statue in Johannesburg's Sandton City Mall and a bronze statue outside the Union Buildings in Pretoria. Many other countries have also erected statues and monuments in his honor, including the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. 3. Education and scholarship. Mandela's legacy has also been commemorated through education and scholarship. Many universities and schools have established programs and scholarships in his name to promote social justice, human rights, and community development. 4. Cultural and artistic works. Nelson Mandela has been the subject of numerous cultural and artistic works, including books, films, and music. Some of the most notable examples include the biopic Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom and the song Free Nelson Mandela by the Special aka. 5. Political activism. Mandela's legacy has also inspired political activism around the world, with many groups and individuals using his example to promote social justice and human rights. For example, the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States has often cited Mandela's leadership as an inspiration for their work. Overall, Nelson Mandela's legacy has been celebrated and commemorated in various ways since his death in 2013. His life and work continue to inspire people around the world to fight for social justice, human rights, and community development. Some text goes here. What lessons can be learned from Mandela's leadership and legacy, and how can they be applied to contemporary struggles for social justice and equality? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela's leadership and legacy offer a number of important lessons that can be applied to contemporary struggles for social justice and equality. Here are a few examples. 1. The power of persistence. One of the key lessons of Mandela's leadership is the power of persistence in the face of oppression and injustice. Mandela spent 27 years in prison for his beliefs, but he never gave up his commitment to justice and equality. His persistence and determination helped to inspire a movement that ultimately brought down the apartheid regime. 2. The importance of dialogue. Mandela's leadership also demonstrates the importance of dialogue and negotiation in resolving conflicts and promoting social justice. He believed in the power of communication and collaboration to overcome division and conflict, and he used these tools to build bridges between different communities and to promote reconciliation and healing. 3. The need for inclusive leadership. Mandela's leadership also highlights the importance of inclusive leadership that represents and empowers marginalized communities. He recognized the importance of building alliances with other groups and promoting diversity and inclusion in all aspects of society. 4. The value of forgiveness and reconciliation. Mandela's legacy also emphasizes the value of forgiveness and reconciliation in promoting social justice and healing. His Truth and Reconciliation Commission helped to promote healing and reconciliation in South Africa after years of apartheid, and his commitment to forgiveness and reconciliation helped to inspire a culture of peace and cooperation. Overall, Nelson Mandela's leadership and legacy offer a number of important lessons that can be applied to contemporary struggles for social justice and equality. His example demonstrates the power of persistence, dialogue, inclusive leadership, and forgiveness and reconciliation in promoting a more just and equitable society. Some text goes here. How did Mandela's international advocacy and diplomacy efforts impact South Africa's relations with other countries, and what was his approach to foreign policy? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela's international advocacy and diplomacy efforts had a significant impact on South Africa's relations with other countries. Here are some ways in which his approach to foreign policy impacted South Africa's relations with other countries. 1. Building international support. Mandela worked tirelessly to build international support for the anti-apartheid movement and to isolate South Africa politically and economically. His advocacy efforts helped to build a broad coalition of countries and organizations that supported the cause of justice and equality in South Africa. 2. Strengthening regional cooperation. Mandela also worked to strengthen regional cooperation in Africa and to promote economic development and stability on the continent. He believed that cooperation and collaboration were essential for promoting peace, stability, and prosperity in Africa. 3. Promoting human rights and democracy. Mandela was a strong advocate for human rights and democracy on the global stage, and he used his influence to promote these values around the world. He believed that promoting human rights and democracy was essential for creating a more just and equitable world. 4. Pursuing nonviolent solutions. Mandela was committed to pursuing nonviolent solutions to conflicts and to promoting peaceful diplomacy. He believed that dialogue and negotiation were essential for resolving conflicts and building a more just and peaceful world. Overall, Mandela's approach to foreign policy had a significant impact on South Africa's relations with other countries. He worked to build international support for the anti-apartheid movement, to strengthen regional cooperation in Africa, to promote human rights and democracy, and to pursue non-violent solutions to conflicts. His leadership helped to promote a more just and equitable world, and his legacy continues to inspire people around the world to fight for social justice and equality. Some text goes here. What was the impact of Mandela's economic policies on South Africa, and how did they shape the country's economic trajectory? Some text goes here. Nelson Mandela's economic policies had a significant impact on South Africa and helped to shape the country's economic trajectory. Here are a few examples. 1. Reconstruction and Development Program, RDP. The RDP was a comprehensive economic development plan that aimed to address poverty and inequality in South Africa by promoting economic growth, job creation, and social development. The RDP focused on infrastructure development, housing, healthcare, and education, among other areas, and helped to lay the foundation for a more inclusive and equitable economy. 2. Black Economic Empowerment, BEE. B was a policy that aimed to promote economic empowerment and participation among Black South Africans who had been historically marginalized and excluded from economic opportunities. The policy included measures such as affirmative action and black ownership and control of businesses and helped to promote greater economic participation and equality. 3. Privatization and liberalization. Mandela's government also pursued policies of privatization and liberalization, which aimed to open up the economy to greater competition and foreign investment. These policies helped to attract foreign investment and promote economic growth but also faced criticism for exacerbating inequality and exacerbating economic disparities. 4. Continued challenges. Despite these policies, South Africa has continued to face significant economic challenges, including high unemployment, poverty, and inequality. While Mandela's economic policies helped to lay the foundation for a more inclusive and equitable economy, subsequent governments have struggled to address these persistent challenges. Overall, Nelson Mandela's economic policies had a significant impact on South Africa and helped to shape the country's economic trajectory. His policies aimed to promote economic growth, job creation, and social development, while also addressing historical economic disparities and promoting greater economic participation and equality among Black South Africans. While South Africa has faced significant economic challenges since the end of apartheid, Mandela's policies helped to lay the foundation for a more inclusive and equitable economy.